Good afternoon, class. Welcome back from spring break. Systems of linear quantities, 5.7.
Thank you, Will.
Well, we just got back from shop, not spring break.
Whoa.
All right.
Shop is.
So,
No, it's not.
last time we talked about systems of inequalities. Okay, we reviewed in the warm-up
Yeah.
how to do the shading. You shade above when you have the greater thans. You shade below when you have less thans. When you have the equal to, that's what makes it solid. Okay, think of like when you put the symbol under it, that's an extra step. So the extra step is to make the line solid. When you don't have the equal to, you're missing the extra symbol, so you're missing spots here. Okay, it's dotted.
Okay.
All right, so a few background things. When you have a system, how many inequalities does that mean you have?
2.
Two, right? Two or more inequalities, and they have to use the same letters. What are the two letters we always use?
X and Y.
X and Y. Okay, for this part, you're just looking at this part. Okay, you don't have to write this step down.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Josiah gave us a single inequality last time. Now I'm asking for a system. Okay? So can someone give me one and then give me a different one after?
2y
Yep.
is greater than or equal to or not 4x.
Okay. So 2y is greater than or equal to 4x. That's one. And let me make up another one. Y is less than 3x plus 2.
Wait, did you want it in mx plus b form?
No, it
Okay.
didn't have to be. No, both of these are a system. Now, the one on the right, I was going to ask you what form it is. You just told me. That's the way we want to get it to graph. Okay, so if we were going to graph the one Josiah said, I would have to get this 2 on the other side. Okay, so some problems are going to be given to you like Josiah's. Some are going to be given to you the way I did it. Okay, the way I did it's easier, but it's not always going to be that way.
Wait, I have a clarification.
Mhm.
So we only have a week till report cards?
Report cards? No,
Progress.
report cards are in June.
Silly.
Yeah.
Rather tricks up your kids.
All right, so first thing.
Example 1.
Yeah. So example 1, we're going to get to filling in some of this stuff on the front after. Okay. We're going to start with example 1, which is on the back.
Okay.
So everybody flip over to the back. And the question,
These are the ones you plug in
yeah,
for.
exactly. These are the ones you have to plug in. They give you a coordinate. Can somebody tell me what letter is the 3?
X.
Yep, X. And somebody else tell me what letter is the 5?
Y.
Y. And now what are we going to do with the 3 and the 5?
Plug it in for X and Y.
Plug it in for X and Y. Into which one?
Top equation.
Whichever one you
Or
want.
with the bottom.
You put 3 in the X.
Well, yeah, but you're saying which equation you
And then
do
put
whichever
5.
one you want.
Which inequality do I use?
Whatever
Both.
one you want.
Okay. Xander, what was the answer to the question that Savannah just answered?
What she said?
What was her answer?
Y equals something?
No, both.
What?
Both.
Both.
Okay, guys, I know at the end of the term, people are going to be like, what can I do for extra credit? And I'm going to say nothing. I say you should have listened during class. We're running out of chances if you want to get your test grade
What if
up.
I do listen during class but I still get a bad grade on the test?
Then usually those people get a chance to at least bring it up a little bit, but it's people that don't even try that don't get a chance.
Okay,
Like,
You're not
I
listening.
try.
All right. So we have to plug it into both.
Okay.
Okay? Let's start with the top one. Can somebody tell me what the top one would say if you replace it?
It'd be 5
5.
is less than
Yep.
3 plus 2.
Now, what we're doing is we're plugging in the point and we're checking to see if it's true. Okay? What's 3 plus 2?
5.
So 5 is equal to 5.
Quick math.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because it doesn't have the equal sign under it.
Right, what symbol is that?
Less
Less
than.
than.
Less than.
So it's wrong?
Is 5 less than 5?
No, it doesn't
No.
make
They're
sense.
equal to.
Oh,
They're
so it's
equal.
wrong.
So that's wrong. So tell whether the ordered pair is a solution. This one,
Oh, so we don't
It's
even
no.
have to do the other one. If one's wrong, it's just wrong.
if one's wrong, you're done. It has to work in both. Okay?
I know, but I'm recuperating from spring.
Yep. If it doesn't work in one, you're done. Okay? You don't even have to check the other one. We could. This is 5 is greater than x is 3. Yeah, you don't even. Yeah.
Minus
It'd be
one.
6 minus 1. It does work in the second one.
Oh, but
Okay?
Yeah.
It would be 5 is greater than or equal to 5. Yes. 5 is greater
But-
than or equal to 5.
but is it still no?
No, it's still
Wait, so
no.
they're both
Okay.
no solutions.
Yeah, if it doesn't work in one of them, you're done. You don't have to even check it in the other.
But
Let's-
even if one of them's correct, it's still no.
It's still
If
no-
one of them's correct, then you have to check the second one.
Yeah.
All right?
Oh.
It has to work in both. So maybe we should write that down. The coordinate has to work in both.
Equations.
Wait, are we learning a new thing or are we just going over everything?
He's just going over it right
This
now.
is example
until
one.
we get into the new thing.
Yeah, we haven't filled out the front. We're going to come back and do that. Okay, let's try the second one. Okay. What's x in coordinate b? Savannah?
-2.
And y?
Y is 0.
Y is 0. So let's plug it in. Y is 0
Is less than
is less than
-2 plus 2.
-2 plus 2.
Number
That
two
would
again,
be
That
zero.
doesn't work.
because that's wrong.
Because
Yeah,
0 is
it
not
doesn't
less
work.
than 0.
Is 0 less than 0?
No.
No.
So what's wrong with my iron?
So that one does not work. Okay, any question on that one? Okay, let's try, I don't think you have a C, but you could just do it off to the side or up in the corner. I'm going to make up one more. Let's try 8,
What?
comma,
Let me guess this one.
2.
2. Yeah, let's try 8, comma 2. Okay. What's x in that case?
X is 8.
8.
And y?
2.
Y.
All right.
2.
So
Oh.
Is 4 minus 1.
start, what are we going to plug in first in the top one?
Two.
2
So
2
2 is less than
is less than
It works.
8 plus 2.
8 plus 2,
Is 10.
which is 10. Is 2 less than 10?
Yeah.
Yes. So that means it works in the first one, but it has to work in how many?
Both.
2.
Both.
Oh.
So if it works in both, then we can write yes. If it doesn't, then we write no. Okay, we got to keep going. Let's check the second one.
So
We get
it's
y.
Is greater than or equal
is
to.
less. Is greater than
So 2 is greater than or equal to
8.
8 plus 2.
It's
Greater than or
16.
equal to
16.
2 times,
16 minus 1.
right, 2 times x, 2 times 16.
I said
So 2 times 8 is 16. What's 16 minus 1?
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, why are you multiplying?
No, that makes sense. The answer doesn't though.
2 times x.
2x is 2
Guys,
times
stop.
x.
Everyone's talking at once. One person.
2x.
2 times x.
Oh, you just did it again.
Alright, but
Okay, so x was 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Minus 1 is 15. Does that work? Is 2 greater than or equal to 15?
No, it doesn't make sense.
No, that doesn't make sense. So what does that mean? Is this a solution?
No.
No. It's better than the last one, right? Because at least it worked. It worked on the first one, but it didn't work on the second one. It's got to work in both. Okay? And I'll show you one later on that works in both. Okay? So any questions on that? Plug the point in and see if it works in both. How do you know it works? What kind of statement do you get?
The true one.
true statement.
So, no.
In order for it to work, you've got to get a true statement.
Just stop
All right, so the reason we did that is because once we get through some of these other problems, this is going to allow us to see if what we did is right. We're going to take a point, we're going to check it, and see if it works. And it will work in both, if we do it correct. Okay, so I'll show you guys how to do that. All
it.
right.
Okay, now we're back on the front.
Yep. So now we're going to fill out the steps on the front. Okay, it seems like a lot of steps, but it's actually the same steps you guys did last week. We're just going to write them again,
Then why?
just to make sure, because I bet some people don't remember after shop and vacation,
Yeah.
because it's been about 3 weeks. So, kind of wild. So first of all, each inequality has to be in the form y equals mx plus b. But remember, you're not going to have an equal sign. You're going to have one of these four. What do we call those again?
Inequality sign.
Inequality. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay, so that's step one. You writing that down, Xander?
That's
Uh-huh.
sorry, my mother sent me a picture of Chewbacca.
Okay, so
Well, then.
if your inequality is written like this, how come you don't have to change anything?
Because y is by itself.
Exactly. Okay, so in the box where it says, when it looks like, you can write this.
On the dotted. The
Yep.
dot thing.
You can put it right on the dotted line. Nothing needs to be changed when it looks like this. So when it looks like this, then you can write, nothing needs to be changed.
It's all good.
Okay, so when it looks like this, nothing needs to be changed.
Yeah, right in there. Looks like that. Wait, what are we writing?
Okay, and make sure you put that on the dotted, the part where there's a dot, because now we're going to write something below it in the box. Okay, so in that box, on the dotted line, you put when it looks like this, y is greater than negative 3x plus 2, nothing needs to be changed. That's what's on the dot, the part with the dot. If not, okay, so below the part with the bullet, put if not, and then we're going to write down what's right here. Like if you had something like this. So if not,
You divide it by the number that's on the
yep, and this is the part right here. You're going to put these two things right below the dotted line. Okay, so in that blank white space. When it looks like this, okay, when you have x on the same side as y, you have to move x to the other side using the opposite operation. And that's going to be it for the box. Okay, so there wasn't really enough space, but we put both of them in the box. So you know when it looks like this, you don't have to do anything. Okay, and you got that written down. If it doesn't look like this, it's going to look like that. Okay, we got to get y by itself. Can anyone tell me how you would move the 2x to the other side here?
by multiplying by its inverse. I mean dividing because it is multiplied.
Raise your hand, please. God.
Careful.
You divide everything by 2.
No,
What is
no, we don't divide here. We use subtraction.
it? Really?
Yep. If you were going to move this to the other side, you don't write this down, just watch me. You would minus 2x, minus 2x.
Oh yeah, we did do that.
And then don't you have to like flip it just
Oh, it's for-
Yep, you would write, you would flip it, negative 2x plus 5. Okay, I'm not,
Snowy here.
Well, everything's still.
okay.
It was actually kind of
Hey
crappy
Joe,
down there.
do you know if it's like a waiting room?
Okay, does everybody have this part copied down?
Yes.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, so no one's in a.
The part here at the bottom of the box, you guys already have that printed? So
Yes.
you don't have to write that. Okay, step 2. Once you get it in the form y equals mx plus b, now we're going to graph it. Okay? First thing you have to do to graph it, you use the m and the b. Can someone remind me what's the m stand for? Slope. And the b? Y-intercept.
Y-intercept.
So if you don't remember how to graph the y-intercept, I'm going to remind you right now. If you already know, you don't have to write it down. Okay, so this goes on the line where it says number 2. And then under remember, there's directions for what to do for B and M. So for B, that's the y-intercept. Everybody just told me that. M is the slope. Okay, so to graph your y-intercept, you start at that number on which axis?
The Y.
The y-axis. Yep. Start at that number
Okay.
on the y-axis. Put a dot. Right? You put a dot right there.
And oh, I know what we're doing. I understand now.
Will, you getting this?
Then the next one, can I say it or not?
Okay, so now we've got the y-intercept, so that would look something like, let's say your y-intercept was 2. You'd have a dot right there. Now what do you do? Yep,
You would do rise over run, so
exactly.
whatever the is next to the x, you put it over 1, or unless it's already a fraction.
Yep.
Oh, I put volume.
So slope is the number in front of x, and when you're graphing, we always use rise over run. Okay. Remember, with run, we always go to the right. Okay, so we always go to the right, but then rise could be up if it's positive, or down if it's negative. So Josiah had mentioned, what if you don't have a fraction? What if it's like y is less than 2x plus 3? I don't even have a rise over a run. So what do I do to the number 2? Yep.
Put it over 1.
Put it over 1. Now this says up to, right 1. But I go up to right 1 starting from where?
Where you already put the point.
Right. From the y-intercept. Don't go back to the origin. Right? From the y-intercept. Okay, so most of these steps, these are just repeats from stuff we've done over and over, just reminders. Okay. Has everybody got what to do with the slope?
No, not yet. Hold on.
All right, I'll leave that there. Step 3. Now you draw the line through the points. Can someone remind me, what are the 2 kinds of lines you can have? Connor, can you tell me one type? Remember when we're drawing, like remember that table we filled out in the warm-up? What were the 2 types of lines we had on that table? Dotted and solid, yep. Okay, so what we're going to do in step 3 is we're going to draw our line. It's either going to be dotted or solid. You guys already have the chart to figure that out. And we're going to put arrows in the direction we're going to shade. We're not actually going to shade yet. So let's say you had something like this, and you drew your line, like that. And let's say this problem was greater than. Where do we shade for a greater than? Above or below?
Greater than would be above.
Above. So in this problem, I would shade above the red line. All I'm going to do for now is put little arrows telling me I'm going to shade above. You'll see why in a minute. So I just put in arrows telling me shade above. Don't actually do the shading yet.
So we do the arrows for number 4? Or 3?
No, we haven't done 4 yet, so that's for number 3. We're going to draw a line through the points, and we're going to put little arrows, just like I did in red, telling you which way to shade. But don't actually do the shading yet. Now, after you've done step 3, you will have done your first one. Now we do the same thing again for the second one. Okay, so step 4 is to repeat steps 2 and 3 for the other line. So now, at step 4, you would have something like this. Let's say that's your first line, and you put arrows like this. Shade above. Let's say your second line was in green, and this one was also shade above. The red line and the green line make kind of like an X shape. Does everyone see how they make an X shape?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be writing this down?
For number 4,
I mean, like the graphs.
I think so. Yeah.
Might be helpful if you don't understand the words. A picture might make more sense. You don't have to put the picture if you don't want to. Now if you look at the X shape, just to kind of make it look a little simpler, there's 4 sections. 1, actually I'll just make an X shape without an axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually the answer is going to be to shade one of those 4 sections. Did anybody see in this one what section we're above the green and above the red? Which is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I think it's 1.
It's 1, right? 1 is above the green and above the red. So the answer to this problem is going to be this section right here.
Whoa.
You have to be above the green line and above the red line. You had to be above both.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah. So sometime it's going to be the top one. Sometime it's going to be the left one, the bottom one, or the right one. Sometimes your X will look a little skinnier. It might look like this. But it's still the same idea. Okay, so step 5, that's what I actually did in step 4. Shade in. Step 5, now you shade in. Shade in where the arrows overlap. So if I
There's just
remove...
a lot going on in pencil when we draw it. It looks really unmathematic.
Yeah.
Hold up, this is confusing.
Okay, so step 5, you look for where the arrows overlap. Above the green, above the red, the overlap is in the top section. Okay? If you said, well, how come it's not in the right part? Why not section 4? Well, look at section 4. You're above the red, but are you above the green in section 4?
No.
No, you're below. It said you had to be above. So in that case, the one on the right doesn't work. And if you said, well, how come not the one on the left? Okay, in the left, you're above the green, but are you above the red in section 3 or section 2?
No.
No. In section 2, you're below the red. The directions said above the red. Okay? So you just have to read the directions in the problem. So it's basically like doing exactly what you did last week. You're just doing 2 lines. Okay? Last week, all you did was this. You just had the red line and you shaded. Well, now you've got the red line and you're going to have another line with it. Now, the rest of this, I think we already did.
Yeah.
Does everybody have the 5 steps?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at these, make sure we already did it.
Oh,
Everyone,
I messed up. Hold up.
does everyone have this part already filled out?
Yep.
We're good?
We need a jump.
Special cases?
Yeah.
Special cases, we already filled these out.
Wait, can you go back up?
Yeah, we already filled it out for me in my head. I need to say something this time.
You don't have to copy that exact example. That's just, if you have the example I gave you earlier, that's fine. Okay, does anyone else need to copy regular cases or special cases? Special. Does everybody have regular?
Yeah, now I do.
We're good? Special?
There's this car accident in front of my house yesterday morning at
Where?
2 o'clock.
Where do you live?
Lunenburg, and at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know where I live. You know those
Okay, you all set,
trees
Kevin?
next to my house? Almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Trees.
Let's do 2 pages.
Yeah.
The truck drove away and went right into there.
Nice.
And then he fled the scene. He was in my neighbor's backyard.
All right, guys,
I mean, I thought we were involved.
let's take a look.
This is special.
Special
It's
cases.
like a pond. Now.
Joe, that made my.
All right, so we want to solve this system. Okay, we're going to graph it.
What example?
This is example 2A. So on the back of your sheet, you should be on the grid that's right in the upper left.
I could do this.
2A.
Can we do it by ourselves so I know that I know how to do it?
Let's, you know what, let's do one together, and then the next, we do have another one. We'll let you do that one on your own. Okay.
If you can't read that, then you have a problem.
So first step. Let's read the directions. First step, each inequality should be y by itself.
Yes. they
Are these already set up?
Yes.
We're good. Step 1 is done. So we don't need to do anything with step 1. Step 2, graph the point using the slope and the y-intercept. All right? Let's start with the top one.
Horizontal across.
Can somebody tell me what's my y-intercept? Let's call this equation 1 and 2.
2.
What's my y-intercept for the first one?
2.
2. Put a dot on 2. What's my slope?
Negative x.
1. Negative 1. So it'd be negative 1 over 1.
Exactly. Remember, if you want to put a 1 in front and put over 1, you can.
That looks weird though.
So what does that mean I'm going to do from the y-intercept?
Go down 1 and over 1.
Over to the
Right.
right. Down 1, right 1. Do it.
How many times do we say
That's enough. You really only need to do it 3 or so times.
Alright, can you, I can't read what the first one says.
It says y is less than or equal to negative x plus 2.
Yes.
And then we put the x, we turn to a 1 over 1, but it's negative 1 over 1.
Yeah, we just squeezed in the 1. Now, solid or
Wait.
dotted?
Solid because it's less than or equal to.
Yeah, it is. a
Looking at the
solid.
symbol, it says less than or equal to. Go back to my chart. Let's look it up. Less than or equal to, solid. And let's also look at where we're going to shade.
below?
Below. So let's go back.
Below sea level.
Yeah.
The open ocean.
Yep. So put your line in.
Jesus.
Oh, wait, so just
It's
like the
weird.
Go from one end of the ocean to the other end of the ocean.
Wait, I'm
I go
sorry.
there like that.
What are you confused about?
Don't we have to
No,
solve
but
that?
like imagine that.
We haven't done the second
What
one.
is this one story wrong?
Wait, do the first one. Now,
Wait,
where am I going to shade?
Hello.
Below. Am I going to do the shading right now?
No, you have a little arrow guys.
We're just going to put the little arrows.
Oops.
Don't do the shading,
Because then your shading's wrong.
because then your shading would be wrong, right? Because we're not going to shade all of that. It's only going to be some of it. How do we know where? Now we do the second one. Second one. Uh-oh. No X. What does that mean? No X.
That means no slope, so where do...
You
no,
should probably
because
buy
you know
access.
what a y is gonna
We talked about it. What's this called? It's
be.
a
Called a
Oh, that's
special
a
case.
single variable.
Special case.
single variable. Y only. No X.
So it's gonna be horizontal.
Whoa, so where do we shade if it's horizontal?
Y only. No X. Okay? Horizontal line. It goes left and right. You put a horizontal line at the number. What's the number here?
1.
1. So put a horizontal line at 1. Just like that.
No, these special cases are really triggering me.
Now, it's a less than. Where do you shade for less than?
Below.
Below.
Wait, why'd you do it on that one? Why didn't you do it on the other one? It does
Because
not
it's
have-
horizontal.
I know, but I put it on the top one, not the bottom
What
one.
are you talking
So
Like,
about? Oh my god.
this is your
see how
X.
there's 4 boxes? I put it on the second box.
So you got to put it at 1.
Yeah, but there's one right there too, if you go up one.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Like,
So
look,
confused.
I put it like right here.
Nope. That's up 1 right here.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's got to go right through that dot.
Yeah, but your line was below it.
Nope. Right on it.
I swear it was below it. Oh
Sorry,
my
you're
God.
going insane. It's
Try
fine.
your own.
Now, where do we shade for less than or equal to?
Below.
Below.
So you just shade every single one, or is it gonna be one section?
It's only going to be one section.
Oh, it's gonna be number.
So if you look at it, it kind of looks like this. Section 1, 2, 3, or 4.
It's gonna be number 3.
It's going to be section number 3,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
right? We're shading below and
This
below.
isn't that bad.
No.
I thought it was gonna be hard.
So we're shading this area here.
Just that little section, right?
Just
I'm going crazy.
that section right there.
Section 3.
Section 3. Not section 1, not section 2, not section 4.
Why'd you draw your numbers like that?
I just did 1, 2, 3, 4.
It doesn't matter how we do it?
No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to use that to explain to you which area.
That's my dad.
Okay, any question on that one?
Promo's back.
It looks like a bat.
Just call Joe's Papa back.
Okay, this one. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to try this one on your own, but I want to start you off a little bit.
Okay.
The first one to me looks good.
Yeah.
How about the second one?
No, we have to switch it around. It looks bad.
Right.
Looks like Kylie Jenner.
What do we have to do?
You have to get. No, you have to get the y by itself.
We had to get the y by itself.
You subtract 3.
We're going to subtract 3x.
From
It should be y. Do you have to flip the sign?
No?
This would be y. It's only if you multiply by.
Y is
Greater than negative 3x plus 4.
perfect. So now when you graph it, you're graphing this, because now you got y by itself, and that. Okay, so try graphing that. See if you can figure out your shading. It's going to make an X shape. And then we'll go over it together.
Hit 30.
Okay, Fred, can you tell me what's my y-intercept on the first one? 1. So we're going to put a dot at 1. Xander, what's my slope?
Negative 3 over 1.
Negative 3 over 1. Savannah, what does that mean, negative 3 over 1?
It means you're gonna go down 3 and over to the right.
Down 3,
Over
to the right 1. Down 3, right 1. Josiah, what kind of line? Solid or
Dotted.
dotted?
It's going to be the dotted.
Right. So I'm going to put my line, but I got to change it to
Dotted.
dotted.
I can't wait to go over to home advantage.
Okay, just draw your line the best you can. Okay, that's not perfect, but it's okay. Now, shade above or below?
You're gonna shade the.
I love Roblox.
Wait, which problem? Oh, below.
Below.
Yeah, below.
Look at the inequality.
No, it's above.
Below.
The inequality is a less than.
Below.
It's below.
Yeah,
Shade below.
I don't understand where we would use shade on this parallel thing.
We're not done yet. I haven't finished.
Say your dad.
We haven't finished it yet.
I know, but I still don't see where we
Which one's more
Will,
important?
tell me how to do the second one.
How to do that? Well, you're gonna start at 1.
Guys, we're gonna wait till people are done talking.
You're gonna start at 1.
No.
No, it's still talking.
Oh my gosh. What?
Go Go ahead, Will.
You're gonna start at 4.
We're going to start at 4. What am I going to do at 4?
You have to go down -3.
Put a dot.
Yep. And then go down -3.
Down 3.
Yes.
Yep.
And then over 1.
Over to the
Right.
right one.
Yep.
So down 3, right 1.
I always look at that there.
Down 3, right 1. So what's happening is we're getting 2 lines that look parallel. Now, where do I shade for?
Above.
There's 2 cases that can happen. You're either going to shade the strip in the middle, or if it's going on each side, there's no overlap.
So you're shading the strip in the middle.
No, so you're shading. No, it's in the middle. It's in the middle.
Where does this tell you to shade?
It says above.
Above.
So you're shading nothing.
I like this one.
So what do you shade? I don't.
So now the answer to the problem is where the overlap is.
There's no overlap.
There's no overlap, so what does that mean?
There's no solution.
No solution.
I don't like these ones.
I like
No solution.
Okay, no solution means
You can't do it.
there you can't do it. There's no area where they overlap.
So that means there's no answer, so there's no possibility.
That's depressing.
Right. Now, guys, look back at this one.
You try your.
Okay? When we did this one, all this area right here, we called it section 3.
Answers.
So if I asked you what would be an answer, that's an answer.
Anything in that
Wait.
sectioned area.
That's an answer.
Wait, so
That's an answer.
There's like no certain answer. We just say.
That's an answer, right? All you have to do is shade it.
Yeah.
Anything that I'm putting a dot on right now
Such a nice tan.
is an answer. How about if I put a dot up here?
No, that's wrong because it's not like in your area.
It's not in the shaded area. Any coordinate in the shaded area is an answer.
Yeah.
Okay? In this one, well, if I go down here, in this section, that's an answer to the line in black. If I go up here, that's an answer to the one in red.
Okay.
But the problem is, there's no area that's both at the same time. Okay? It has to be both. And this one isn't.
Oh, just like in the other thing, it's the same thing. You're just finding a different way to do it.
Right. When you
Okay, I
check
didn't realize that.
when you check an answer, it might work in one, but not in the other. Okay? That would be an example of picking a point here. Okay? It would work in one of them, right?
But not the
We're
other.
below one of them, but we're all supposed to be below the other one, and we're not.
Oh, that's
We're
like
doing
mine
this.
for me.
Okay? So when you have an X shape, there's one area where it works in both, one area or 2 areas where it would work in just one of them, and then there's one area where it wouldn't work in either
See,
one.
before I never made that connection with the 2 things.
That's the connection
So
of
it's
the 2
possible
things.
to shade in the middle.
It is possible that the problem could have had you shade in the middle. Yep.
Joe,
Well,
you're
that's
my
what
Chromebook.
I'm
I
sorry.
did. No, I need it to be have like a little bit of charge for our.
It does. I'm sorry.
And if you want to go
I'm
home
done
play
making
Roblox
that
Fortnite. Roblox Fortnite.
All right, guys, one more. This is example 3. One more of this type, and then we're going to do our last one. Yeah, we'll do this one together.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes.
Joe.
Look at
Knock it off.
Okay, so
look at the first inequality. How many people think that one's okay?
that would be good.
I think it's okay.
Why is it okay?
Because
Because
Y
Y
by
by
itself.
itself.
Y is by itself. So you know what? Let's graph it right now.
Okay.
What's the y-intercept?
-1.
Negative.
I'm gonna eat this piece.
Noah, what direction do I go in from there?
-1, or wait, which one, -2 or -1? Which one are you talking about?
We're doing the first one.
I don't know.
Noah, which direction do I go after I do the y-intercept?
Find the slope.
Oh, wait.
Slope is always next to X.
I
Madison,
didn't
do you
do it,
have
I
a-
don't remember now.
The
You're
slope
gonna
is
go
always
down
next to
Hold
X.
on. The slope is always next to x, yep.
You're going to go down to the right one.
Right, make it a fraction.
Oh, wait.
Down
I know
to
how to do it. That's stupid.
right 1. Sometimes people, how many times do you have to do it? Just as many as you need to. That's enough. Solid or dotted line here?
Solid.
Dotted.
Dotted, sorry.
Yep. There's no equal to, so you don't put the solid.
So it's solid?
Nope,
Or dotted?
it's dotted.
It's gonna be no solution.
That's a negative straight against language.
Let's make it dotted.
Even though I said it.
Where do I shade? Above?
Well, we don't shade yet, we just.
Well, where do I put the arrows?
You're putting the arrows below.
Below.
Yes.
Why is less than?
Shade.
This is no solution.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
why
is
do we have
this?
to-
Well, I'll make it a if it's a no solution, then I'll switch something in the second one to make it one.
Thank you, the no solutions one makes my mind hurt.
Okay. What's Joe? You're gonna do the second one for me.
I've already done the second one.
What's wrong with the second one?
It's all set up in y equals mx plus b4, so.
All right.
Put the y over to the other side, so you'd add y.
Okay. I like that. We're gonna.
Subtract negative 2x to the other side, so then it'd
Let's
be
do that first.
Okay, John, that's nice.
So that it'd be y,
Y.
greater than 4, no, negative 2x
Plus.
4. What?
Wait, what? Wait, why would you do
Oh,
that?
I put,
Wait a second.
You have to do this out right here.
oh no, I did 2x plus y.
Wait.
Does that
You could do 2x plus y.
Plus one.
Yeah, so it'd be y plus 2x.
Yeah, let's do that.
Greater than 4.
Then you
And then you
subtract
subtract
the 2x.
negative 2x to the other side, so then it'd be y greater than negative 2x plus 4.
Yep. Now before.
Could we do it more orderly? Like, could we bring over the negative 2x first and then add the y afterward?
Yeah, you as long as you get y by itself and you end up with that, you did it right.
Okay.
If you don't end up with that, you did it wrong. Okay? Before we graph that, I want to check I don't want to do another no solution.
Yeah, those
So
are good.
I'm going to check it really quick. I can already see we've got the same slope.
That's not good.
Let's you know what? Let's adjust the inequalities.
No,
So we're not going to have to redraw it.
Okay.
Let's just adjust this one. Have it point the other way.
That's lit.
So change the one I circled. So where's the shading going to be now?
in the middle.
I'm just gonna cross mine out.
So Gemini, where's the shading going to be now?
What?
Where's the shading going to be? Above it. Okay, we didn't have to change it. I'm just changing it so that you guys get something that's not a no solution again.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's graph this one. Let's check it. You know what? Let's also take this sign. And we didn't draw it yet, so all you have to do is change it
I already drew it.
to point the other way.
Well, you shouldn't move ahead. That's not nice.
Come on, Joey.
Okay. Again, you don't have to, but I want you to see one that has a solution.
Okay.
Okay. What's my y-intercept?
4.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Then you're going down to over 1.
Down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. Do it a few times.
And it is a dotted line.
It's a dotted line.
And you are going below.
Yep. And I'm going to shade
Oh, when the arrows run into each other, that means it's normal.
exactly when the arrows run into each other.
That means it's normal. No, leave me alone.
Wait till someone practices.
Oh, Savannah. I don't practice and can't sit there.
No, it's more than
You're the problem.
Fred, sit in your seat.
Oh my god. Wait, Savannah, how do
Okay,
you know?
guys. You guys really gotta calm down a little bit, okay?
I don't know how to do that.
I know, but people are gonna ask me. They're gonna be like, "I don't get it on the test," and I'm gonna be like, "I tried and it didn't work."
Then that's all done.
So
Then,
it's not my fault.
The arrows go below, and then you have to shade in the middle.
So now the arrows are going
Below.
below, below, below. Where do the arrows run? Do they run into each other? If the arrows are pointing opposite ways, there's no solution.
You shade in the middle.
This time we shade in the middle.
Joe, the way you said that was like little blue boy from all Melanie Martinez's videos.
Who's Belly Martinez?
Yeah, just reminding me.
Who is Belly Martinez?
Just a wink.
Melanie
Whoa.
Martinez.
Can I-
Does everybody see why that one was shaded in the middle?
Yeah, because the arrows were touching.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, everybody ready for the last problem?
Wait, I don't have another graph.
No, Roblox
Yeah, we
is
do.
good.
Example 4 should already be drawn for you.
Yeah.
Yep, we're going to use that one.
No. This is how we do it down in
California.
Okay, guys.
Okay, hurry up.
Like,
So
shut
it's
up.
done. So I will take all of your soul if you don't quiet.
Do it. I want my soul taken.
Shut up.
Okay, so last example, this one's going to be a little different. Okay, instead of you having to draw the picture, they are going to give you the picture. Okay, it's the same type of problem, except it's going to look.
It's flipped.
It's flipped. They're giving you the answer. They want to know what these two inequalities are.
Well, that's gonna make me.
That's easy though.
Okay?
Not for me.
So the first thing you have to do is determine the equation of the line. Okay, how are you going to do it?
Where are their dogs even for?
I'm going to come right back to this in a second. But you're going to look for your y-intercept, and then you're going to look for your slope.
I can't tell the difference between their line and the line that's like built on a number line.
Yep, I'll make sure I show you which one is which.
Is the darker one the number line, or is that the?
I'll show you in 1 second.
Wait, can we just write it instead of like filling it in the chart?
Okay? So step 1, to do this, you have to determine the slope and y-intercept. They're not going to give it to you. If you already know what the slope and y-intercept are, you don't have to write out M and B. You've already written it once today, so if you don't want to write it again, don't. Just write this.
Oh, that's why it was confusing me. That's why I was like, what?
B is the y-intercept, M is the slope. Okay? Again, I'm not going to go through this. You don't even have to write this.
Wait, we don't have to write.
Up and to the right is positive, down and to the right is negative. We just wrote that with rise over run before. So you should already know that. Don't write it if you don't need to. There's a spot if you really want to write it again.
Well, we should even have to write it now because we should know it by now.
You should know it by now. Now, you have to determine what symbol to use. How do you determine it? 2 things. Okay? 1, do you have a solid line or do you have a dotted line?
Dotted.
If it's dotted, you're going to use one of these 2. If it's solid, you're going to use one of these 2. Then from there, do you look, all right, did they shade above or did they shade below? If it's above, it's always a greater than. If it's below, it's a...
If it's below, it's the ones with the.
Less
this
than.
one, it goes this way.
Yep, it's a less than. Okay, so look at the line.
Leave me alone, that's how I comprehend.
Look at the line. Look at where it's shaded, and that'll tell you what symbol to use. Is it solid? Is it dotted? Did they shade above? Did they shade below? Go back and look at your chart on the front. That'll tell you. And that's both steps. I already said both of those at the same time.
Hey, can you go back?
Yeah.
Hey, say please next time.
Wait,
Stop.
Okay, so
oh, here's the shading.
yeah, on your example, it didn't. It's too light. It didn't photocopy. What I want you to do is just go like this.
Stop. I feel like a kindergarten.
Shade.
Kindergarten was all light.
I know, right?
I hated kindergarten.
Nap time. I got all A's in kindergarten.
But it was cool. We had like 5 math.
I got to eat food.
I know. So Hager, if you let me eat food, I feel like I excel.
I finished.
Well, you just had lunch.
We did.
Didn't you just have lunch
That was
like
like so long ago.
an hour and a half ago?
Didn't eat
That was longer than that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I gave the list.
All right, so guys, just to make this clearer which one is which, let's call the dotted line
Yeah.
line 1, because that's how it'll be on the test.
No, can you please stop things?
And let's call the solid line line 2.
Yes. See.
Hey, Will, can you stop saying that?
Please tell me what that does.
It's a bad song.
Okay,
and
Joe.
I'm just making it worse.
Joe, I keep calling on you because you keep calling attention to yourself all the time.
Okay, I'm doing it though.
What's my slope here?
That's what I did the second equation slope.
No, I want the first one.
Well, I haven't done that yet. I'm working on it.
What's my slope?
The slope? Oh, it'd be 2. No. Where is this? Isn't it?
Up 2 and left.
I don't know where the line
Oh,
is.
that? Oh, yeah, it's up 2 to the left 2. I mean,
Okay.
right 2.
So
How is that?
up 2.
Oh, 2's up
This is
there.
the line.
Yeah.
So it's
My first second slope is something else.
So Joe said up 2, right 2. You could have said up 1, right 1. So what's the slope?
Oh, okay, so one.
Up 2, right 2. What's my slope? Xander? What's my slope?
What's your slope? Good game. You said that's your slope, but what's the slope?
What's my slope?
I don't know. It beats me. I don't understand this.
So look at the dotted
I
line.
think it's, can I say it?
We went up 2, right 2, rise 2, over run 2.
I'm not bored over here.
If you go up 2 and right 2, what's your slope? Yeah?
2 over 2.
2 over 2, which is
1.
1.
1.
My slope is 1.
Damn.
Oh, I got
What's my y-intercept?
Will, please stop.
over. I'm going down.
Joe, you're talking again, so I'm calling on
I
you
asked
again.
Will to stop saying
Don't
to
worry
stop.
about Will.
I
Don't
know
worry
what I was
about
talking about.
Can I?
Will. Joe, what's my y-intercept?
The y-intercept is 2. Well, no, 0.
0, right? It goes right through the origin, so the y-intercept is 0. So now,
Wait.
we've got a y. How do we know that a number is the slope? It's always next to what?
X.
Oh yeah, X because it is M.
Can I
So
do
1x. What's my y-intercept?
Plus 0.
Plus 0. Now we have to decide, is it a less than, a greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to?
I don't know. How would you figure
Can
that
I
out
do the
again?
second one so
Because
you
the
guys
dotted
don't
line.
What?
Oh, never mind, because the dotted line.
So dotted line tells you it could be less than or greater than. How do you know it's less than?
The dotted line.
If it goes up or down, I
The
think.
shading.
The shading is where?
To the
Below the
right.
line.
Well, above or below?
Below.
Below. So it's below dotted. Below and dotted
Is
is a less than.
Yeah.
There's your first one. Okay, second one is a special case.
Wait, where were we? Is line 1 the equation 1?
Yeah, I call it equation 1, that's fine. Now, what about line 2? It's a special case. It's horizontal.
So what you do is you go, well, first of all, you have to find where it intersects.
Okay, it intersects at -2.
And then since it's a special case, you have to find which one is horizontal.
Which one is the one with horizontal? Is that y only or x only? Y only. So we have a y and a -2, but where did we shade? Above or below?
Above it.
Above it, and is it solid or dotted?
Solid.
What's an above solid?
It's
Greater
This
than
way.
or equal to.
Greater
We're
than
not gonna see the baby.
or equal to?
Oh, we're gonna see the baby?
We can see it tomorrow.
Okay?
Wait, can you email us a picture of the
I did that actually really quick.
Wait,
How about
Mr.
Mr.
Hager,
Hay-
can
how about
you
Mr.
email us a
Richardson?
picture?
Well, I'll show you tomorrow if we
Well,
can
he
get
has
through
a
everything.
newborn. I don't think he has the time.
Alright, show me what's on it.
Okay, a couple quick reminders before I give you guys the homework. Okay? Test on Friday. Progress reports close next Friday, so this is the last academic week.
Wait,
Next
what?
week is your double shop week. So I won't after this week, I don't see you guys again for 2 shop weeks. So
Oh, this keeps
Sophia,
happening.
you don't-
May 21st.
How sad.